Yeah. All right. And today is called the day of Pentecost. Not the day of Pentecost, but Pentecost. On this day, we celebrate. And it's funny that churches call it the birthday of the church, though that the Bible never calls it that, but it's a cool saying. And today we're gonna hit. I'm not gonna go through the whole experience of Pentecost because the audience that we have here already understands that. What I'm going to teach you today is I entitled it A Comfortable Adventure. Because many times Jesus Christ, if you remember, he talked about the Comforter. The Comforter. And we equivocate that with the gift of Holy Spirit. But I'm going to show you it's a little bigger than that. It's more than that. It's more inclusive. In fact, the word comforter is the Greek word paraklesis, and it's only used 5 times, and it's only spoken by one apostle, and that's John. 4 times Jesus Christ did it right before he went to the Garden of Gethsemane. It's got to be huge what the Comforter is. When all hell's breaking loose in your heart and in your life, there's a Comforter. And it's much bigger than we're seeing. And then it's used once in the epistles by John, in 1 John. And that was when all hell was breaking loose in the whole Christian church. They were being persecuted. And we'll see how these all tie together. But one of my all-time favorite adventures while hunting was during an unsuccessful elk hunt. And I'd been placed on a west-facing ridge overlooking a huge grassy valley. And it had very few trees, so I was probably in the easiest spot for a rookie. And all afternoon and evening, I didn't see anything move, hardly even a bird flying, just a couple. And as the orange sun began to touch the mountaintop near me, and the temperatures began to drop at the same time, I heard something sort of quietly walking up behind me. And I slowly turned my head, and it was my friend Dave. And he's a skilled hunter, unlike myself. And he knew that we got skunked that day. And so he walked up to me, and he knew I wanted to at least see an elk, because I hadn't seen anything the whole time we had been out. And he came up to visit with me for a while. He just sat there on the ridge next to this little bush, and then we watched the sunset, and we quietly talked about life and about the Word, and for better part of an hour. And what he did is, it was comforting to know that you don't see it every time you go out. They're there. The elk were there. I just didn't see them. But so he was a comfort, and he showed me friendship at that point. Because comfort and friendship sort of go hand in hand with this. And today I'm going to show you that since the day of Pentecost, that God and our brother Jesus Christ are actively involved in taking care of our every need. Now, some of you think, well, I'm where's my finances then? I know what's going through your head. Or how come I'm not getting healed like I'm supposed to get healed, like the promise? Just hang in there. This may open a whole nother little avenue of thought, because anything that can help our believing or help trigger our believing will help us. And I want our adventure through life to be comfortable. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about what Jesus Christ is doing for us today. Now remember, like I've taught so many times, he's not just sitting up there with God wherever that is, at the right hand of God. Remember David in Psalm, he said that the Lord is always before me. He's at my right hand. Well, all he had is an image of what the Christ would be someday. So the right hand means it's in your heart. It's in my thoughts. It's in my believing. He totally believed that one of his offspring would produce the Christ. And it did. The right hand of God is believing. It's a total expectation. Hello. So, again, we're going to focus a little more on this today. We're going to focus on something called the Comforter. And this word is only used 5 times in the New Testament. And it's only by the Apostle John. And this word is so common, but it's totally unique. And it'll help us understand more about ourselves and how to get through our tough life situations. And Jesus Christ used this term comforter 4 times that same night, right after Judas left from the Last Supper and right before he walked across the brook Kidron to go up to the Garden of Gethsemane. So something to be used 4 times by the Christ, by the Son of God, to explain 4 different aspects, I think is important. And the context of each usage of comforter is to know that when all hell is breaking loose within our lives, or when our world begins to crash down, or when our believing seems non-existent, we're not alone. And the Comforter was not available until the day of Pentecost. So whatever was going to be available, he had to bring. Jesus Christ had to leave and then come back, which we'll get to. And Jesus Christ's job was to make this thing happen. And the first usage of Comforter, really a quick summation would be our permanent advantage. And this first usage of Comforter will tell us that it will be with us forever, and that Jesus Christ will be with us forever as well. And I think it's hard for Christians to understand that. He's not everywhere present, but he can be there in a split second if you need him. He's still doing stuff for you. And we'll see this in just a minute. It gives us a permanent advantage. We can do and see amazing things, and we can have everything we ask for and see what others miss. Now that's sort of what we're going to see in this. Again, I'll read it again. This first usage of Comforter will tell us that it will be with us forever. It gives us a permanent advantage, and we can see and do amazing things, that we can have anything we ask for, and we can see what others miss. So this is the context of this first one. So go to John chapter 14. John 14. It's only used 5 times, this word. And verse 11 start. We're going to read 11 through 20. And believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Now watch how Jesus is going to expand this circle right here. He's talking about him and God to include us when we get to verse 20. And now verse 12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. Now, we Christians love this verse, but I think he was just talking to Philip. And they were in that little circle eating together at the Last Supper. And we love this thing. We do the same works and greater. Whew, we're powerful. Yet, how many people do we see actually doing that? You know, I mean, I always wonder how many Christians even have any understanding of themselves being spiritually enabled. I mean, would they even? I mean, can you even tell if somebody's really a Christian other than decoration or a big hairdo? You know, I mean, but there's got to be more to it than that. So if you believe on him, you're going to do the same works, and you're going to do greater works because or when he goes to his Father. So same works, greater works. 13, and whatsoever ye shall ask in my name. This is after this time, after he leaves, after this day of Pentecost. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will, who's going to do it? He's going to do it. You mean Jesus Christ is actually going to do something for us? Yeah. That the Father may be glorified in the Son. Isn't he already glorified? Yeah. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. Now, how many of you, don't raise your hands, but how many of you actually have unanswered prayers? You know, I mean, just think, we want things, we want healing, we want finances, we want a relationship, we want all these different things. We pray about it, and sometimes we don't see it. Yet it says, whatsoever ye ask, and ask anything, and he's going to do it. This is after the day of Pentecost. So this is the standard. This is all leading up to this word comforter in just a moment. Imagine having everything that you ever asked for. I mean, that's a spoiled kid. That's a spoiled kid. That's it. You know, but if we receive it with love, then we're not going to act like a spoiled kid. You see, imagine speaking things into being. This is something important here. This is believing's tied through this whole thing. If you ask for something, then you're speaking something, right? It could be even internal, but be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. I don't have any friends. Maybe you just might not. Keep talking like that. Like that one story I've told 1,000 times. You know, every male in our family dies before they're 55. A friend of mine said his mom and sisters told him. And he died before he was 55. He said it his whole life. What if you said your whole life, man, I got more than I could ever imagine. You know, I mean, I'm prospering like crazy. I'm going to live to 100. I'm going to, whatever. Imagine saying all these good things to yourself. So be careful what you say. You do speak things into being. It's wise to keep our words on the positive, because we're usually going to get what we focus on. My son sent me a quote from W.H. Murray, who was on a Scottish Himalayan expedition back in the day. Wonder if they had their little skirts on. I don't think I'd want to climb the Himalayas in a skirt. But here it is, quote, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. End of quote. How many times has that been repeated in history? People say the same thing over and over in different ways. It's the total, once you totally commit, then nothing can stop it from coming. It says providence. That would be God. Nothing. The whole power of the universe, it's going to attract you. It's going to come to you. It's going to happen once you commit. What are we committed to? If we're committed to feeling sorry for ourselves, what's going to happen? We're going to really see it. You know, if you're committed to whatever it is, everything is going to make it happen. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never have otherwise have occurred. Nothing's going to happen without believing or without commitment. Sometimes I'm trying to think of different words to use but believing, because it just makes us numb. We go numb when we hear it. But it's just a total conviction. It's a total focus that nothing else can enter. It's a laser. Believing is just, that's all I want. That's all I can see. It's a scope down a barrel. You have a very, very fine field of view. You know, like a story I've used before, but when I used to shoot the longbow, it was very slow and heavy arrows. And there's two different thoughts, fast and, and light, or slow and heavy, and just for different knockdown powers. And I don't know which is better, but I had slow and heavy, and I knew it wasn't very fast. And so this guy had just bought this chronograph. It had these two rings, and if you shot a bullet through those, then they were like a foot apart. You could tell the speed of that. Well, he said, shoot your arrow through this. So he set my target about 30 yards down, and I pulled back, and I let go, and his chronograph just shattered into 1,000 pieces. And he just bought this thing. And he walked over to me. He wasn't even mad. He walked over to me, and he put his arm around me. He said, "You know what you did, Mark?" I said, "Yeah, I busted your toy." He said, "No." He said, "You took your eyes off the target right when you released, and you looked at the chronograph." He said, "You hit what you look at." You hit what you look at. What are you looking at? You're looking at what you don't have? That's what you're going to get. You look at what you want? That's what you're going to get. And then divine providence, all the power of the universe, all the power of time can manifest into that one point, and you can have whatever. That's what he's telling these people. He knows he's about to go get killed. But what does Jesus Christ also know and believe? He's going to get up in 3 days and 3 nights. It's probably 5 days and 5 nights from this point, but you get it. So here we go. Verse 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, which means what? Holy Spirit. But who was the other one at that time? It was him. It was him. That's why they were so out of whack when he left, because he was their comfort. He gave them direction. Go here, do this, step out of the boat, walk on the water. Here, take these baskets, feed the people. Because of his words, they just did miracle after miracle after miracle. That's what can happen for us now, folks. He will abide with you forever. See, there's going to be another comforter given to us along with Jesus Christ, and it will live with us forever. You're never going to be without this comforter again. You're not without it now. We just don't believe it at times. And at times we do believe it. And we see wonderful stuff happen. 17, even the Spirit of truth. Now here's another name for it. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive. I love that. Because it seeth him not. It sees him not, neither knoweth him, but you know him, for he dwelleth with you and shall be in you after the day of Pentecost. I will add that caveat. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Now imagine how good that would have heard to hear. These guys knew what he told them he was going to get killed, arrested and tortured and killed. He's going to say, look, I'm going to come and I'm going to comfort you guys again. But he said the world just isn't going to get it. It is not going to understand. So if the world does not understand the Spirit of God, is it really going to understand you when you talk about it? No. That word comfortless in verse 18 is a different word for comfort, and it means to be orphaned. You ever known an orphan? Abandoned by their family of some sort? Orphaned. Or they lost both parents. You know, you see that in the newspaper occasionally. The kid's an orphan. You know? So he will not allow us to be orphaned. You're never going to be. Now, orphan in that day and time could mean death if somebody didn't take you in. Now you got social services and all kinds of crazy stuff. But at that time, it wasn't necessarily like that. And Jesus Christ is saying he will always be with us. And this comfort is more than just having the Spirit of God. You, at times, will actually be with the Christ. You probably won't see him. But I'll guarantee if you can learn to put on your spiritual eyes and ears, so to speak, you will at times know that he's there. Sort of a weird thing, but why not? Why not? If he could, I mean, imagine if he was just sitting right here. And then he hung out with you. He went on your sales calls with you every day. He went on your job. Would you have many worries? Be like, I stubbed my toe. Jesus, yeah, need a little help here, dude. You know, I'm a little hungry. You're out on that hunting trip. Didn't see no elk or couldn't catch any fish or whatever. Hey, how about a little help here? Cast your net over there, buddy. Man, I need some help hauling this in, dude. You know, I mean, why not? Just imagine if he was right there. He is. It's not a maybe. It's not figurative. A lot of times in your life, he's right there. It says where two or more are there in his name, he's there. Where two are gathered in his name, he's there. Is that a figurative or is that real? I'm beginning to see from the word that it is probably real. That not probably, it is real. That means may have passed through here while we're here. Who knows? If the word's true, he has or will. Pretty crazy. So, verse 19, yet a little while and the world seeth me no more. So the world sees him no more. But what does that next four words say? But ye see me. What is that telling you? So do you have the ability to see the Christ? Yes. Because I live, ye shall live also. That at that day ye shall know that I am in the Father, and ye in me, and I in you. See, he added you this time. Remember how this whole thing opened up? I'm in the Father and Father's in me. Now it's just that cycle. The complete cycle is we complete that cycle that God has wanted from before the foundation of the world. The day of Pentecost completed that cycle. It's God and Christ in us. It's us in Christ and God. It's us and God and God. I mean, it's just all-inclusive sphere of beauty. Imagine God sitting right there. He is. Jesus Christ is only one place at one time. God inhabits eternity. He's at every meeting you do. He's in your chair while you're at work. So why can't we just think, okay, God, I stubbed my toe. I need healing. I need help with this situation. Need a little prosperity. Heck, what was the first miracle that Jesus Christ even did? Water into wine. Now, was that for healing? Was it for sustenance? Were they going to die without that wine? What was it for? Enjoyment, celebration, a blessing. So, can miracles be there just to bless you? Yes. The very first one that Jesus Christ did was. Isn't that cool? So it's not always a big thing, raising somebody from the dead or something. I mean, God cares about you, every little detail. If you care about every little detail, you'll begin to see how much He cares about every one of your details. So, to close out this first one, the first usage of comforter will tell us that it will be with us forever and we will be with Him. It gives us a permanent advantage. It's an advantage you can't lose. We can do and see amazing things, and we can have anything we ask for, and we can see what others miss. That's the first time. Now we're going to the second usage of comforter. And I entitle this Peaceful Reminders. And this comforter will be sent, and it's going to teach us all things we need to know. Imagine being able to be taught everything that you need to know. Now, how many of you have unanswered questions in your life? Anybody? Okay, a couple of you. Unanswered questions. Now, how would you like to know the answers to those unanswered questions? God, I just don't understand this thing. Why does this keep happening to me? Or why this, or why that? I'm going to show you that those answers are there for you. And they're going to give us peace in the midst of fear. So go to John 14. This is the second time during that meal, or right after that meal, He talked. We're going to read 3 verses, 25, 26, and 27. And these things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, He. So He means what? The Comforter. He shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Now to close out this section, because of what happened on the day of Pentecost, the Comforter will be sent, and that Comforter has the ability to teach us all things that we need to know, even that one thing. Even that one thing that you still keep wondering about. And it's going to bring the truth back to our remembrance and will give us peace in the midst of fear. Again, this was that same night. They knew all hell was about to break loose. Now, the third use of comforter is find your audience. Find your friends. All of us want to be heard. All of us want to have somebody we can talk to. Somebody who can talk to us. Somebody who will respond to our soul life and the Spirit of God that we have. We all need that. You see what happens when these people become too lonely and they turn too inward, and then they do dumb stuff in the high schools and movie theaters, and they isolate themselves. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You can find your audience. You can find your voice. You can find your friends. And this comforter is given by Jesus Christ, and it's driven by love. And the people who would have attacked Jesus Christ will attack us. But the people who would have listened to Jesus Christ will listen to us as we walk by the Spirit, which is the Comforter. And it's going to be huge. You're going to find, you ever known somebody who tries to force himself into a group at school? They want to be with the cool kids, and then they get their feelings hurt all the time. and they get stepped on, they get put down, and then they feel less and less about themselves. Well, that's not their audience. That's not their friendship. That's not their group. That's not their gang, their troop, their team. John 15:17 through 26. And these things I commanded you, that ye loved one another. Again, this is that same night. And if the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love its own. And if you act worldly, the world's going to love you. The people who, man of the year, woman of the year, actor of the year, musician of the year, they're loved by the world because they're doing exactly what the world wants. But because you're not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will persecute you. If they've kept my saying, they will keep yours also. That's your audience, folks. Who listens to you? Yeah. Who really listens to you? You know, those are your friends. That's your audience. It may not just be people that come to your little group. It may not be people, but it may be somebody at work. It may be somebody in a networking group. It may be a neighbor. It might be an old friend. It might be even a Facebook friend. Who responds to your soul life? That's your fellowship. Our life is a lot bigger than one little group, one church, one fellowship. You know, I mean, it is huge. And I know a lot of you who are at this meeting right now, and you have multiple friends. You have multiple groups that you go to. You have incredible families that I've met. I mean, there's a lot of depth that goes there. You have people who love you, and there's people that you love. So the people who would have hated and attacked Jesus Christ today are going to attack you. And the people who would have listened to Jesus Christ, had he a bodily form, those same people, as you walk by the Spirit. You know, that's how you find your audience. That's how you find your true friends, your teammates. Verse 21, but all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. And one thing I want you to realize, sometimes the people who hate you are Christians. And you know, the wild thing is, they would have hated Jesus Christ too. Isn't that crazy? If he was around right now, they would hate him. Most Christians would not follow the Christ today. I was talking to one of our people this week about freedom. You know, I love to teach about freedom, but true freedom in Christ is ultimate. Christianity is designed to be run, you're designed to be controlled by that comforter, by that, not controlled, but that's supposed to be our standard, is the Spirit of God and the Word of God. You know, not what some group tells you to do or not to do. But we get lazy and we want people to tell us what to do, what to study, when to study, what day to do something on. Get up in the morning and do 5 minutes of this or 10 minutes of that, or do a prayer buddy. And, you know, we want to be told what to do. Why don't you let the Spirit of God guide you? I guarantee your life will just accelerate. It'll blossom. You'll see the real you finally emerging. But we limit ourselves because we don't want freedom. We want legalism. Hate to say it, but it's true. And people hate that stuff. Why is there never a meeting on how to do a church or a meeting ever mentioned in the book of Acts? It's not there. Because there is no standard. The standard is the Spirit of God. Sometimes it's around a meal. Sometimes it's when you're walking together with somebody, or hunting together with somebody, or hanging with somebody, having a glass of wine, whatever you do, riding a bicycle, going to a family celebration. There's a lot of ways. And verse 21, but all these things will they do for you in my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. You got to think about that one for a minute. But now they have no cloak for their sin. There's a lot of people on earth that you'll never see the bad side of them until you speak truth. And they could end up just living a great, wonderful life. But sometimes once you do that, or you show them something of truth, all of a sudden the fangs come out. It's like, what happened? I just had an hour conversation with somebody yesterday when I was on a jog. And the person was talking to me and helping me through a couple of situations, which is one reason I'm talking about this stuff. I mean, it's amazing that a lot of people we think are right on our side, they're not. If if you try to bend to do things their way, it's not going to bless you. Christianity is free. But they have no cloak for their sin. Once you expose the truth to them, they have nothing to hide behind anymore. And then they start being that person they really weren't designed to be. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin. In other words, if he didn't manifest himself as the Christ and he didn't walk by the Spirit, these people never would have acted up. You ever had people it's like they go nuts on you. It's like, what happened? You were my friend one time. I tell you something, now you hate me? I twice have had people try to kill me because I was trying to help them not commit suicide. It's no fun to go to somebody's house and they have a gun in their mouth and you start talking to them, tell them the word, and then they push the gun into your ribs. It's like, no, not gonna happen. Then you got to wrench it away from them. It's crazy. They hate you because you're helping them sometimes. It's nutty. Or they come to you and they tell you some of their personal stuff, and then they're never your friend again because you know something that they wish they never had told you. You've uncovered something. We've all seen it. But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. Now, Jesus Christ is telling these guys this stuff. They're already emotional. Judas is already out, gathering the gang of, interlopers, It's pretty crazy. The Spirit of God in operation will bring out people's true self. On the positive side, if you let your own light shine, you're going to attract the people that you need attracted in your life. And that's the beauty of it. There's going to be those others, but I think you'll see the beauty of true friendship even come. And there's nothing greater than that. Because that's your fellowship. It's the people you'll die for and who would die for you. Not who want you to die because they feel like it. I was at a networking group last Thursday, and this little girl who never had come before, long hair, just super, super pretty, came up to me after the group, and she said, I heard one of your podcasts. And she said, it was amazing. And she said, I can't wait to listen to it again. And then right after that, a young man who I've talked to a few times, he goes, Mark, we got to get together again sometime. I need to talk to you about a few things. because he's having trouble not wanting to be a part of the church that he was raised in, because his family's, it's a very, very restrictive group that he was with. And and then that same day I got a call from a Google guy trying to sell me advertising space or something, or help me move up to #1 on Google, for X amount of dollars a day, and I said, look, man, I don't need, I appreciate you doing this. I don't need your service. I said God's good to me, and supplies my every need. And I said, when I need work, it's always there. And I said that we are totally free humans, and that we should be able to go where we want to go, do what we want to do, be who we want to be, love who we want to be, and call our life good. And he said, you should be a motivational speaker. But whatever words I said, bless the kid. He's trying to make a living doing telephone sales. I can't think of a worse job, But, it's just crazy, But find your audience. 25, but this cometh to pass that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They hated me without. You've been hated with. It's like, what happened? I've had people that love me 1 week and then they hate me. How did this happen? Well, you said something that uncloaked them. 26, but when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, shall testify of me. So this Comforter is designed to expose the Christ. That's what testify means. It's evidence. So whatever this Spirit of God is, it should show people Christ. Not just goodwill toward men, not just nicey motivational talk. What the Spirit of God should be doing, it should either be attracting people to the Christ or repelling people from the Christ. See, the word testifies that it's the evidence that Christ is alive. Now, to close out this section, on the day of Pentecost, a Comforter was given by Jesus Christ, and which it said, and the same Comforter is energized and driven by love, and the people who would have attacked Jesus Christ will attack us, but the people who would have listened to Jesus Christ will listen to us as we walk by the Spirit of God. And that is the Comforter. Now, the fourth use of this word Comforter, on that same night by Jesus Christ. He's driving this point home. He just keeps saying, you ain't going to be alone. And this fourth use tells us that it can help us avoid distractions that'll keep you out of the traps and keep you out of traps. And Jesus Christ had to leave so that this Comforter could be sent. So there's some connection between his leaving and that Comforter coming. And he's the one who caused this Comforter to be sent. And this Comforter will show us what to believe for now and in the future, our future. And future could be an hour from now. And with it, we can see what Jesus Christ sees. So if you want to see through Jesus Christ's eyes, here's a couple of tips. This is his mindset of believing. If you can ever grasp that, you will have no lack. Because he had no lack. John 16. These things have I spoken to you, that you should not be offended or stumble. And they shall pull you out of the synagogues. And the synagogue isn't the big temple. It's a small little room where different groups would meet. And they're going to pull you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God service. I was in a Christian group once where people talked like this, that they thought that somebody should die because they were doing damage. They thought it was doing God a service. I mean, it's nasty stuff, this. And it's not that far away from things that a lot of you have seen. And these things will they do unto you because they have not known the Father nor me. This is similar to number 3. If they attacked me, they're going to attack you. And verse 4, but these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, ye may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. I was there. I didn't need to tell you this stuff. But now I go my way to him that has sent me, and none of you asketh me whither thou goest. But because I have said these things, you say, these things unto you, sorrow hath filled your heart. Nevertheless, I tell you, it's expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. There will be no day of Pentecost. There will be no gift of Holy Spirit if I don't go. And it says, and when he is come, that's that Comforter, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. Of sin because they believe not in me, past. Of righteousness because I go to my Father and you see him no more, present. And of judgment because the prince of this world is judged, future. And I have yet many things to say to you, but ye cannot bear them now. You can't handle this stuff right now. And what we haven't believed, and what we do believe, and what we need to believe in the future is all possible because of this Comforter. It's going to show us where we messed up. It's going to show us what we should believe for now and what we should believe for in the future. Pretty cool. 13. Howbeit when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth, for he shall not speak of himself. But whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. I think about Daniel Boone. Yesterday was the anniversary of when he first entered the Kentucky area. And hardly a white man had ever been there. The Shawnee tribes, that was their hunting ground. They didn't set up they just set up hunting camps there, but that was their special hunting area. And that's the same area that there's Big Bone Lick, Kentucky. There was bones of these mastodons and these giant sloths, and so I mean this was like a special place. I mean, if it attracted these little animals we're seeing, these bones show that there was even bigger stuff it attracted. So this had been a hunting grounds for a long time by a lot of creatures. And now these Europeans wanted more, but it just blew his mind. What was available? What most of the Indians of that part of the country knew was a special place. It was a paradise of sorts. Kentucky. And I'm sure it's still pretty, but almost nobody had no European had gone past the Appalachian Mountains. And he came through the Cumberland Gap and blazed a trail, hired a bunch of guys, and they just hacked their way through. Then they had to fight off Indians, and you guys have heard the stories, you know. But the point here isn't so much praising him or despising him, depending on your slant here. You know, the point is he saw something almost no human, or at least no European, had ever seen. One guy is the one who persuaded him to go there because they were going to trap for furs and sell that stuff. I mean, it was amazing. But things to come. What's really out there? Where's your Kentucky? Where's your happy hunting ground? Where's your paradise, your dominion? It's out there, folks. Your fellowship starts right here. It's in your heart. Do you love yourself? 14. So you have to expect things in the future. And he shall glorify me, for he shall receive of mine and shall show it unto you. You know, basically what's mine is yours, Jesus is saying. God's going to show me and I'm going to show you. He shall receive of mine and shall show it unto you. That's the Spirit of God. It's going to take what Jesus Christ has and give it to you. How would you like to have a little taste of that? It'd be nice to dip your beak into a little of that. Imagine a taste. Now, we're not even done here yet. For all things that the Father hath are mine. What does that mean? What does the Father have? The universe. So if the Spirit's going to give us what Jesus Christ has, what we need, and God has everything and gave it to Jesus Christ, what's available to us? Everything. Therefore said I, that he shall take of mine and shall show it unto you. A little while, and ye shall not see me. And again a little while, and ye shall see me. They're like, what? Can you explain? Because I go unto my Father. There's the explanation. So here we go. I mean, just think about what just was said. You know, I mean, again, you're not going to see me, but you're going to see me. Because you're going to see me in a different way. The purpose of the Christ. And that's what other people should see with us. And here we're going to close this fourth section out. Because of what happened on the day of Pentecost, this fourth use of Comforter tells us that it can help us avoid distractions and it'll keep you out of the traps. Jesus Christ had to leave so that this Comforter could be sent. He's the one who caused this Comforter to be sent. And this Comforter will show us what to believe for now and in the future. And with it, we can see what Jesus Christ sees. How would you like to see through his eyes? You can. You can. And you know what? To top that off, you do. You ever just met somebody and you feel like you know them? You ever had that experience? It's like, God, I know you. I was in a woman's house the other day. She goes, I know you. Do you go to Woodman Valley? No. Do you go here? No. Do you do this? No. And I knew, she saw something in me that she recognized, but she didn't know how to verbalize it. I've seen it enough times where I know what it is. Is there some connect? Those are the people you're supposed to connect with. There's more to that. Maybe it's just for that time, but connect. And now the fifth and final use of Comforter. Now this was 25 years later. Remember, all these are written by John. Remember, John was probably the disciple whom Jesus loved. He was the workmate of Peter. His brother is James, who was also an apostle, who was dead by this time. Got killed. And he was Peter's work partner. They owned a business. They were raised together. They knew each other's families. They knew everything about each other. And he was an apostle. This is that same John 25 years later. And 1 John chapter 2, and we're only going to read 1 and 2. And he said, My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. Now I'm going to tell you a different angle of sin here. This will make a lot more sense to you, because we think of Christian sin. Oh, you don't sin. You do this. You drink, you sin. You smoke, you sin. You grow your hair too short or too long and you're sinning. You don't go to church, it's a sin. You don't do this. I'm talking about, we're not talking about that. It's a Greek word. It's a hamartano. And what it means is simply to miss a mark, to wander off course, to miss what you're aiming at. Or I'm going to put it in terms that we're sort of sick of hearing. You didn't believe. That's sin. Isn't that crazy? That's all it means. It means to miss what God laid out there for you. Everything you'll ever need's already been laid out for you in a way that you should be able to see it and receive it. If we don't, that's the sin. We're not able to see what God really wants us to see, or we're not seeing it, which means we're not seeing through the eyes of the Christ. Is this not making sense? Okay. You know, it's like a couple of nights ago, an NBA player couldn't perform. Had to leave a game because of he was dehydrated. So he couldn't perform. He missed the mark. So that's sort of a sin. He hurt his team. When we don't do what God called us to do, we hurt the team. It's like I say many times, if you think about somebody, call them, text them, email them, Facebook them, tweet them, do something. Because the next day you'll never want to. You know, do it. You know, I mean, that's what we're here for each other. Keep your team together. Okay, see, to sin is just to lose focus on your goal or to not see it. To sin is to take our believing eyes off of what God has already supplied for us. So don't think of sin as you did something wrong. It's just you didn't do what you didn't get what you really wanted. You didn't see what you really were supposed to see. Like a boss saying, you know, I expected you to know. It's obvious what you should have done, yet you did nothing. Well, that's a sin. You know, we don't think of we still think of Christian sin, but that's not what this is talking about. It's just missing the mark. It's like when I focused with my bow and then I took my eyes off. It's a sin that I broke that guy's chronograph. I missed the mark. That's all it is. That's all what this means. And he is a propitiation, the payment for our sins. So he paid that guy. And not for ours only, but for the sins of the whole world. What? I had a mom ask me the other day, you know, oh, my son, I need him to come back to God. Isn't involved in our group. She's in that very religious group. And I said, what you really mean is you want him to come back to your church. And she said, well, yeah. Because they think that means you're in fellowship with God because you go to a certain church. God doesn't care what stupid church you go to. He could care less. Just do something with somebody who you connect with. Do something. Verse 2, we read that. See, Jesus Christ is and was the payment, the sacrifice, the final payment for everybody's missed opportunities. That's all it is. He can help you refocus on that. He's the payment. He's the direction to get back. He's the eyes behind your eyes. So to close, the comfort that was given on the day of Pentecost is our permanent advantage. It gives us peaceful reminders, helps us find our abundance, helps us avoid distractions by seeing the future, and will help us recover from our missed opportunities. Pentecost can make our adventure through life a comfortable adventure. God bless.